What's going on, America? I'm the right-winged angel, Oliver Mack, and in this video, we got to talk about affirmative action and how the Supreme Court just ruled that it was unconstitutional in regards to college admissions. Now, if you haven't noticed, I'm black, but I 100% agree with the Supreme Court's decision because I believe that affirmative action is racist. But you have all these woke Democrats out there that are outraged right now because they say that ending affirmative action is racist. They say that we're going to have all these issues. Black people will never be allowed into college again, which is false, 100% wrong. But I'm going to show you their reaction, and then I'm going to show you the greatest self-own in Twitter history. Let's check this out.
Right now, Bumio Masori, pro-affirmative action student at both Duke and at UNC Chapel Hill, and I'm curious what your reaction is. I know that you were hoping this would go the other way. What do you make of what you've learned in their decision so far, that they say can't simply be sort of a check mark based on identity, but must be part of a student's narrative, what they present to the school as part of their biography?
Well, I would say that I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. When we talk about holistic admissions, to say that you can include a student's identity, the student, the person behind the papers and the grades and the test scores, that you're not allowed to include race, which is such an encompassing part of at least my identity as an underrepresented minority.
Why is that though? Why is your race such a big part of your identity? It's something that you had no part in creating. So why is it such a big part of a lot of people's identity? And, you know, I'll say as a black person, I know that being black is like the most important thing in black people's lives. I don't like that. I don't agree with that thought process because I didn't create my race. I believe that our identity should be based on the things that we do, based on the lives that we impact. It should have nothing to do with our race. But with certain people who feel like they have nothing else going on, it's a big part of their identity.
It makes me feel upset. We know what happens when affirmative action goes away from universities. We can look at California, we can look at Michigan, who has already banned it, and see how their state flagships lack a astounding number of Black and Latino students. The one thing that really is making me sad, I'll just say today, is that my identity has to be my race. The struggles that I've gone through, the trauma I've gone through as an African.
So the struggles and the trauma that you've gone through, it's not really about your race. I'm sorry. Because everybody has their own individual story. We have black people that grew up in wealth and prosperity. They don't have the same story as a black person that grew up in the hood. So it has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with how you were brought up, the experiences that you lived through. So I don't know why people feel like being black brings all black people together. Like just because you're black, you all go in the same box and you've all had the same experiences. That's not how it is. I'm sorry. I've had different experiences than other black people. Other black people have different experiences than me. Just because I'm black, that doesn't mean that I'm supposed to identify with other black people just because they're black. Everybody is a unique individual with a unique story, and we should look at everyone based on their upbringing or based on what they can bring to the table versus just their race.
An American woman in the United States, if I were applying to college today, I would have to write about those traumas in my Common App essay. I would have to write about those traumas and those very hard experiences for admissions officers to accept the overwhelming truth that we all know, which is that it is hard to be a black person in America.
Wrong, wrong, wrong. It's not hard to be a black person in America. I don't believe that it's hard for me to be a black person in America. I believe there are certain black people that have hard lives in America, and I believe that a lot of people make poor choices that lead to those hard lives. Just being black doesn't mean you have a hard life. I don't see that. I hate that people have this narrative that just because of your skin color, you have such a hard time. I mean, her family is from Nigeria. Do you know that Nigerians make more than white people in America? So to say that she has the same story that I have, somebody who grew up in New Orleans, the murder capital of the United States, that's false. Your life was not hard. The fact that you can speak the way you're speaking now, the fact that you're on what is this? NBC News just proves that you didn't have a hard life. There's nothing hard about your life. It's not hard for you to be a black person in America. So this victim mentality, this victim ideology needs to go away. But anyway, I wanted to get to this tweet. You got to see this tweet, this self-owned. You know, you have your woke liberals out there. They're trying to defend black people at all costs, but they say the most racist things when it comes to black people. Let's check out this tweet. All right, this is from Erica Marsh. Now, you probably have seen this tweet because it's gone viral. This tweet has 20.1 million views. Today's Supreme Court decision is a direct attack on black people. No black person will be able to succeed in a merit-based system, which is exactly why affirmative action-based programs were needed. Today's decision is a travesty. Really? No black person will be able to succeed in a merit-based system. Wow. That's incredible. I do believe that because affirmative action has ended in college admissions, that we will have less black people in universities. But guess what? Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe having people's applications looked at based on merit alone is how we should be moving forward. I mean, I believe in living in a meritocracy. I believe in judging people based on what they're able to do, not their skin color. Judging people based on their intelligence, based on their work ethic, rather than skin color. I believe that's a good thing. I believe that's where we should be headed. I mean, we had Justice Sotomayor, I think it was 20 years ago, say that although she was for affirmative action at the time, 25 years from then, they could re-examine and say that affirmative action was no longer needed. Well, the Supreme Court did it 5 years earlier because that's the truth. Affirmative action is no longer needed. We have reached a point where we are seeing equality in this country, and not equality in terms of what the left wants. The left wants equality based on, like, if we have white people that are making on average $100,000 a year family-wise, they want black people to make the same thing, even though the conditions are totally different. Two-parent households in a white community versus single-parent households in a black community, they want them to make the same thing based on one income. So they're willing to give the black people a boost just so they can get to that 100,000, so it can seem like everybody is equal when it's not. Because if you gave the black people a boost, you didn't give the white people a boost, that's not called equality. Sorry, that's called preferential treatment. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to show you guys this because people like this person, Erica Marsh, are entrenched in the Democrat Party. This ideology, this racist ideology that black people cannot make it without the help of white liberals. That's basically what they're saying. I would agree that black people are going to struggle in a merit-based system. Because look at this. Many of America's black youths cannot read or do math, and that imperils us all. So when you're talking about a merit-based system, when you look at stuff like this, yes, black people are going to struggle without affirmative action. But that does not mean that ending affirmative action is racist. That means that we need to look at the black community and look what's going on and try to help them before they get to the point where they're entering into college. Because that way they'll do better in college and then outside of college. So you can't ignore these issues. You can't ignore these glaring issues that we're seeing in the black community when it comes to education. This says a lot. In California, 90% of students cannot do math or read well. In New York, the numbers are 85% and 82%. In Illinois, it is 86% and 85%. In Texas, the numbers are 84% and 89%. Maryland sits at 86% for math and 80% for reading. This person says, my home state of South Carolina is 90% and 87%. In Georgia, the numbers are 86% and 82%. In Missouri, it's 89% and 88%. And in Washington, D.C., the numbers are 85% and 87%. That's just a sampling, but the problem isn't confined to those states. Nationwide, black children overwhelmingly lack proficiency in math and reading. To use Dr. Sears' words, they are functionally illiterate, meaning that they are unable to manage daily living and employment tasks. How can our society progress if a major segment of our country cannot read? So this is the issue. It's not affirmative action. It's not racism, white supremacy. The issue is a large percentage of the black population cannot read proficiently and cannot do math proficiently. So when it comes to college admissions, what you're doing is you're putting people that are not qualified to be there in positions and setting them up for failure. So instead of calling out the Supreme Court for ending affirmative action, how about you call out these parents and these schools that are not preparing black students for college? And I don't particularly blame the schools. I blame the parents most of all, because the parents are the ones that are supposed to make sure that their children are ready for school, and they're not doing that. A lot of parents treat school like it's a babysitter, and they don't care if they're learning anything. It's just get them out of my face. And that's very, very, very sad. I'm a parent of a 7-year-old, and I pay close attention to his schoolwork. I help him with his schoolwork if he needs help. It's a daily thing for us to do, me and my wife, to make sure that my son is well prepared for school. And he's been making nothing but A's and B's since he's been in school. But that could only happen with us being vigilant to what he's doing in school. And let's face it, I think there's a large majority of the black community that is not doing that with their children. So it leads to them being behind when it gets to college. And then we had affirmative action to put them in positions that they weren't qualified for. It's unfortunate, but that's reality. The Supreme Court did not end affirmative action because there are racist white supremacists that don't want black people to succeed. They ended affirmative action because the practice of excluding people or giving people preferential treatment based on race is called racism. So affirmative action ended racism in college admissions, and Democrats are upset about that. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please hit the like button, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.